We're going to have her cut this because I screwed it up. Hi, welcome to Marketing Moms. I'm Ann Brennan.
And I'm Anastasia Van Gresherby.
And we're here to make marketing easy for small businesses because not every small business wants to hire an agency. And it's just a fact. They maybe don't have the time, the money yet. Maybe they just like to do it themselves. Whatever the reason, not everybody wants to hire an agency. If you are trying to do your marketing yourself, I'm guessing you're going to appreciate having good advice from people who really understand marketing and people who understand how to speak human instead of talking in acronyms, which is actually interesting, Anastasia, because the title of this one is the ROI of email marketing.
Mm-hmm.
So for those of you who do not know, ROI is return on investment. And I wanted to say that on this particular episode because a lot of times, I'll be 100% honest with you. People come to us for social media marketing. And they say, I really want to do social media marketing and I'm prepared for the floodgates to open and all the business to come in. And I say to them very, very clearly, social media marketing is not a fast marketing. You are not going to put a couple of posts up and have people call you tomorrow. That's not how it works. Social media marketing is meant to be a very long burn so that you build a brand, so that people get to know who you are, so that eventually you are the only person that people could possibly call. Right?
Exactly.
So, Anastasia, I'm going to turn this over to you, let you talk a little bit about the cost and the benefit of email marketing. And I'm going to do that because my sound is not working. I'll be right back.
Okay. Yeah. So social media marketing is relatively inexpensive. You do get a good return on the investment of it. It doesn't take a long time. It doesn't, the tools that you need don't cost a lot of money. So it's a good investment for you to make in your business. You can have a company like us do it. I mean, we charge about $300 a month and we have a 12-month contract, and then we make sure that every month you get an email out to your customers or followers or whatever it is that your business is doing.
Exactly.
So, yeah,
and actually, sometimes it's more than one email, right? In December, they get multiple, right?
During the holidays, or like we have, we've mentioned it before. Like last week we talked about having things ready if it's raining, right? So if your business is weather dependent, we have in my BNI group we have a basement waterproofing company, and he's like, hey, the rains are coming. Make sure that if anybody has a leak, send them my way. But the same is true for like our roofing company and our chimney guy. So when it's raining, we have that email ready and we send it out. We're actually going to send it out today because it's going to rain where we live. So it is, so that's something that you can have ready to go as a benefit, to be organized and have it ready to go. And you're going to see the phone's going to ring as a result.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah, that's the benefit. The benefit is that the phone's going to ring as a result, right? So when people come to me, they say, I want you to do social media marketing. I'm not upselling them when I say, yes, let's do social media marketing and let's add email marketing. I'm not upselling them just for the sake of upselling. The reason I'm telling them to do email marketing is email marketing gives you a chance to let your social media be a slower burn, lets you take that time. I almost am at a point where I'm almost at a point, honestly, where I only want to take people who want to do newsletters or email marketing as well, because people can come in and say, oh, I understand branding. I understand that social media is branding. But if they're not doing the email marketing, they're missing out. And they're missing out in such a big way that it's very, very hard. So the benefit's huge.
Right? So having a client email list, these are valuable things. People pay money for email lists. You end up and these people that are on your email list as a small business want to be there.
Right, exactly. And keep in mind, here's the thing. One of my favorite things about the benefits of email marketing is that you don't have to open the email to get a benefit. They don't have to open the email. The very best example, I've used it over and over again, is we sent an email out one time for a client. This has happened a lot, but this was probably the biggest. Sent an email out and said, do you have puddles in your yard? Because I woke up, it was raining. We sent out the email about puddles in your yard. And he got a call. The guy said, I didn't even open your email, but it was such a good reminder because I've been meaning to call you. And that's all it took. He didn't even look at it. He didn't even know, is there a special? Right? Ended up spending, it was like $40,000 or $50,000. It was a lot of money. It was a whole lot of money. So do think about that. It's not just the benefit of opening it. It's not just whether they read it. It's whether it's in their inbox in the first place. Right?
I do the same thing. I unsubscribe a lot of the time, but if it's a company that I'm like, oh, at some point I need to remember who these guys are. At some point I'm going to need it. I don't unsubscribe. I let them send the email, I open it and archive it or whatever. And so that way I know, and then I can search my phone if I'm like, oh, who is that company?
Yes.
Because as we always say, you're forgettable.
We love you, but you're forgettable. And I'm sorry. We're all forgettable. Even me with my blue glasses. We're all forgettable. People forget who it was they used. Who was that person I used? I actually depend on my HVAC company to send me a reminder that it's time to do the cleaning, right? I depend on that. I'll forget, right? So do remember that people need that reminder. So that's the benefit of it, is it's a reminder that you exist so that you pop up and they go, oh yeah, I needed to call him, right?
Definitely.
So there are different styles of emails. By that I mean, yes, you can change the templates and that kind of thing, but that's not what I'm talking about. There are sales emails, right? There are people who only send things when they have something going on sale. Our jewelry store uses that style a lot, where it's like he's got an event coming up, or he's got a special sale for Mother's Day, or a special sale for engagement rings, or whatever it is. He's got a trunk sale. It's a salesy one, right? A lot of home services will actually combine styles, and they'll use that style and an educational style, right? The educational style is something where a good example is Chimney Tech. Chimney Tech has multiple blogs. They have a blog going up several times a month, right? And during the month, when we send out an email, we'll send out a little bit from each of those blogs, and then we'll say, go back here to read more.
Yeah.
Right. And then at the bottom of that, so it's educational, but at the bottom of that is something about, get your chimneys cleaned, get your chimneys inspected, or it's time for repairs, whatever it is, it'll be a little blurb to try to sell, right? Yeah. So it's kind of a combination. So we do something completely different in that we used to do that. That was sort of our style before, because we do have a blog that's very active, but our style now is more like Ann Hanley's style. So if you have not gone over to see what she's got, what she's doing, check her out. She's got a great newsletter we love. But yeah, that newsletter, we love it. We read it. I send it to Anastasia every 2 weeks. As soon as I see it, I'm like, oh, I got to read this one. And she's like, I already subscribed. Exactly. So, but ours is definitely educational, but it's different kind of education, because it's not something that you're going to get it first before anybody else gets it. It's basically a blog post that is straight from my brain to the computer to somebody editing it and then going to you, because it's what I've been thinking about or what I've seen recently in marketing, right? So it's something that I know is going to be of interest to our clients. And so, yeah, subscribe to that if you want to. We'll put a link in the show notes. That's important. But yeah, so different styles. And I think that one's done very, very well for us. Our open rate's over 40%, which is
definitely. Yeah. And like Ian said, the email doesn't have to be opened.
Right.
The purpose of these emails, for the most part, is to drive people back to your website. So whether it is, clothing, I shop at Ann Taylor Loft a lot. I get emails from them all the time. I leave them in there because I like to see what sales they've got going on, and then I'll click through. The blogs, the reason we don't put the entire blog in is because we want to drive people to the website. So
Exactly.
a lot of the time, the goal of the email is to remind people that you exist and to drive them to your website.
Right. And that's another good point. You need to understand what is your goal,
Mhm.
right? If your goal is just to educate them and you don't care about driving to the website, that's a whole other thing. For me, actually, that's the point of our blog. Our blog is to educate customers, but also to educate them in a way that they want to call me and talk to me about it. Sometimes I'll get a lot of responses, and especially we're going to talk about one recent that we did recently that was very, very interesting. Um, so how to email market? The first thing is you're going to have to pick a platform. We use Robly for ours. I'm not sure that I love Robly. We're still trying to decide on that. We use MailChimp. I am sure that I hate MailChimp. Uh, I
We have a client and I have to use it because that is where she is, and every time I go in there, I hate it.
Yeah, I hate it. But there are a lot of choices. Um, the one thing I can tell you, I can't pick a platform for you, but the one thing I can tell you is don't get the free one. Don't
Mm,
get the free one. There's a reason that you pay, and they're not expensive. Even a solopreneur can afford to pay for the upgrade to the professional version because you need those extra things. You need to be able to schedule something out. You need to be able to, in Robly, it has a couple of things that I love. Robly does one thing that it does is I can send it out, and then anybody who didn't open it will get it again 3 days later with a different subject line. That's really very handy. It also has a feature where it pops up in your inbox only when you open your inbox. So when you open your inbox, it shows up and you're like, oh, I just got an email from Ann.
yeah.
May have been sitting there for a while ready to come in, but it was there. And so those features are really handy. But the biggest thing is that most of them aren't going to let you schedule it out unless you have that feature. And I can tell you now, if you cannot schedule it out, you are not going to do it. You're not. You maybe do it once, maybe do it twice, maybe.
A lot.
Most people do it once and then they don't do it again for 6 months.
Yeah, and then you pay. Yeah, I mean, you're not paying for it if you're using the free thing, but you are paying for it in that there's a loss of business. We talked last
Absolutely.
week about paying for if you're using any kind of tools to create graphics and videos to pay for it. The same thing goes with email marketing. You're cheating yourself if you're not using a paid version. Because the thing is too, if you're using a paid version and there's some kind of issue, they'll also help you. They're more likely to help you figure it
Yeah.
out than if you're doing a free one, because if you're using a free one and there are so many things that are available to you for paying, and it's not expensive. I mean, we're talking, I don't know the last time I looked,
35 or $40.
and I think that might even, and that's dependent on your email list size as well. So
Right.
it's invest in your business. You know,
Yeah, absolutely. And let me also go to talk about, you said email list size. Some people are like, oh, I don't have a whole lot of emails. And the funny thing is, no matter how many emails they have, they always think they don't have a whole lot. So I've had people who say I have 250, which by the way, we don't have much more than 250 on our email list because we have a small little group, right? It's pretty exclusive who's on there. You can subscribe. So just, do go over there and subscribe. But some people will tell me they have a small email list and they have 10,000 people on there.
yeah,
Now, the thing is, you don't need 10,000 people on there. You need people who are interested. So don't go out and buy a list. Just don't.
don't buy. Let me just say, flat out blanket rule: do not buy lists or followers or likes or anything like that. Don't
I was
buy.
about to say something that's totally inappropriate, but I'm going to say it anyway because you guys know me. It's like going out and buying love. You don't need to go buy love. Get
No,
it, just don't do it. Get it the natural way. Get it the normal way.
because you know
So
what? Going on what you just said, you're going to catch something. And if you're buying an email list or or followers or likes or whatever, you're gonna get dinged. Like the
Oh
social media
yeah,
platforms are gonna ding you, and the algorithms are not gonna show your stuff. And your emails, if you bought a list, if there's too many bounce backs or unsubscribes, the email platform that you're using will drop you.
they will. We've had it happen. We had it happen with somebody who bought a list and didn't and put it in there without telling us they did it. And we were like, "What happened?"
Yeah,
And then they admitted it, and it was a real problem. So we had
yeah.
to go through and clean it out, and that costs money and time.
And there's laws too that in Europe you have to double oh, I can't remember, double
Double
approve.
opt-in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
opt in. That's the word. You have to double opt in. So you like say, "Oh, I want to subscribe to this email list." Then you're going to get an email saying, "Do you really want to subscribe to this email list?" And then you have to say yes. So it's very difficult in Europe to get on a mailing list because they're protecting their consumers, right? In Canada and in California, it's a similar thing. You have to opt in. It's not a double opt in yet, but I think that's just coming down the road. So if you
Yeah,
have,
absolutely.
because too many people, I don't know what I signed up for something. I don't know. It was probably a competition that my kids were like, "Hey, let's sign this up," and then put my email down, and then I got a bunch of junk. I'm still cleaning it up, and so
Yes.
yeah, you don't trust the company if you've had no relationship with a client with a company and then you start getting emails, you don't trust them.
No.
You've lost
No.
that person before you've even begun.
Absolutely. So, all right. So let's talk about planning. And this, you guys know we're big on process. We're big on planning. This is very simple. We're also big on spreadsheets that you keep in your nifty little marketing folder that we talked to you about on the last episode, right? A marketing folder on your Google Drive or that other Microsoft thing that people use. I think it's called Teams. Anyway, you're gonna keep a spreadsheet, and what I would suggest is keeping it by month. And think about it, so easy. Oh my gosh, it's so easy. As soon as you keep doing it, you'll realize how easy it is. January. If you're a plumbing company, what are you going to put out in January? Well, you're going to put out something about frozen pipes, I bet, right? February, you're probably going to put something similar out, frozen pipes, things maybe planning for the spring, things like that. March, spring is coming. What things happen in your industry for March? So go through and start planning them. And the truth is, it's a lot like taking the SAT. You take the SAT, they say your strategy is to go down and answer the questions that and then come back to the ones you don't. So go through. If you don't know what you're going to post in March, go to April. You'll figure out what you're going to post in April. You'll figure out what you're posting in um, May and June and July, and maybe you have to skip August. You'll come back to it.
Mhm.
But go ahead and start putting them in. Create one for every month. And then keep in mind that some months you're going to get more. You may want to send out one for Easter. You may want to send out one for Christmas or Thanksgiving or 4th of July. And I will tell you, this is the craziest thing. Those get the most response. I get so many responses back for all of my clients when I send Merry Christmas. I'll get, oh, Merry Christmas to you and your family too. And I'm, getting it as the marketing company. Thank you. Right. But they're responding to the company. It's important that you're sending these things because it sounds silly. I'll tell you another trick. You cannot use this multiple times, but thank you. Thank you goes a long way. If you have a subject line of thank you in your email, it's going to get opened. It almost always will. Right. You can use it a multitude of ways. You can do it for your anniversary. Our anniversaries come around again. And gosh, I can't believe, as a matter of fact, August 1st will be our 6-year anniversary. I can't believe it's been 6 years. Thank you so much. We couldn't have done this without you. Right. Whether you're a client, whether you've referred to us, whether who write something nice and put that out there, that's going to get opened by way more people than others, right? So that's just kind of a trick, but do think about your planning. Anastasia, you're really good at the planning, so talk a little bit about how you come up with some of the ideas. Yeah, they're seasonal, but there's also some other things.
I mean, so we do newsletters for an attorney who is a family law attorney. So she was telling me about how around the holidays, it's actually a big time for domestic violence. So, we'll put things up like that, just around Valentine's Day. We'll put things up about like prenuptial agreements and things. So it's just, and as the summer is coming with more wedding seasons, so there's things that, there's times that divorce, I guess, is more prevalent. Actually, the new year, January, December and January are big for divorce as well, because people are like, oh, the new year's coming. I'm done. I'm just going to get out and start fresh with the new year. So there's things
Right.
like that. And so like you were saying with the plumbing, like you need to look at your business, look at what's coming in when, and
Yeah.
either educate or sell or whatever you want to do. But you do need
And
to have
answer questions, right?
yeah, you
Yeah.
do need to have a plan. We
Yeah.
we work
Absolutely.
with some retail clients, and the ones that you can't plan for Christmas in November. You
Right.
need to know what you're getting in, what stock you're getting in, what promotions you're going to have, all those things. And the thing is, the truth of the matter is, you're ordering those months in advance, so you already know what's
You already
coming.
know.
You just
Exactly.
need to plan your messaging. So if you're working with an agency, do yourself a favor and do them a favor, and plan in advance so that you get the best possible outcome. If you're if you're telling me on Wednesday or Thursday, hey, we're having a sale on Friday, that's not going to get you anything, because if you told me in advance, I could send that email out a couple of times ahead of what's coming up. So planning is very important.
Oh
Know
yeah.
what's happening in your business and what's coming up. Now, look, if you're like, oh my gosh, I really need some money, we're going to do a sale, like, that's one thing, right? But if you have time to plan it, then you just need to make sure that your marketing is part of it. So don't just
Right.
think, have that in the back of your mind, like, have it part of your process, like, oh, this, when the stock comes in, I'm going to do this, I'm going to create a social media post, I'm going to create an email newsletter. So it's like, it's part of it. If you just integrate the email part of your marketing into whatever it is that your process is, that's just going to make your life so much easier, and you'll get a better return on investment.
Right. Absolutely. Finally, I want to tell you, editing is really important. Editing is really, really important. And there's a couple of reasons that I'm mentioning this. I very seldom say I don't think you can do whatever it is on your own. I do think you can do most marketing on your own until you get to a point where you're just simply too busy to do it. Right?
Mhm.
There are people who call me and say, "Hey, can you do it for me?" And I'll say, I can, but I know you can do this on your own, and you should pay me when you're ready. Right?
Mhm.
You should pay me when you're like, I can't do it anymore. I need you to handle it. Right? Because it just makes sense. Email marketing, I honestly think right from the beginning, hire somebody. It's $300 a month. It's not a whole lot of money. They can take that off your plate. They're going to be bringing money in for you with that $300 a month. It's such an easy thing to pay for. But the reason you want somebody to do it for you is because you may be able to write beautifully. I will tell you, very few people can write beautifully, but I'm just being honest. Very few people can write beautifully. It's just a fact. But even if you do write beautifully, Anastasia, I'll be immodest here. I feel like I'm a really good writer.
Yeah.
It's how I started, right? I do not send my stuff out without somebody else reading it, because they are like, yeah, you're a great writer, but you suck at getting everything right. Right? You write it, and then we have to
The
do a
message
whole
is
lot of editing.
beautiful. Sometimes the execution is not on. Is not.
Whether it's typos or grammatical errors or whatever it is, it needs editing. And you cannot edit yourself. I do. They find it hard to believe when they get it, that I have looked at it 2 or 3 times and gone through and edited it 2 or 3 times, and then they get it and they're like, really? And that's just a fact. You cannot
It is
edit yourself.
the scientific fact. We watched the National Geographic used to have a show called Brain Games, and they proved it to us. They showed us on the thing, and my kids were blown away. We were just like, because I hadn't really thought about it, but it makes perfect sense, because if I've written it, when I'm reading it, it says the exact same thing that I wrote, you know. So
Right,
it,
exactly. You just totally miss it.
yeah,
So yeah,
nothing
so editing.
that goes out of here is isn't read by two people.
Right, exactly. Now that being said, sometimes there are mistakes, and I just want to say mistakes aren't the end of the world, because we had a very interesting thing happen recently, and I don't think we've shared this story on here, but if we have, it's worth sharing again because it's kind of funny. I wrote a blog, and I was very proud of this blog. I knew when I
Blog.
say again.
We did a podcast about this blog.
We did. Yes, we did a podcast, but we didn't talk about exactly what happened with the email. So after we did the podcast, wrote the blog. This is how we work. We wrote the blog. We did the podcast about it, and then we sent out an email about that blog. And the blog was called "Don't Be a Jerk: The First Rule in Personal Branding." And I created it as a newsletter, and I sent it over to Tony to edit. And I don't know whether Tony did this or whether I did this.
I scheduled it.
You scheduled it. So I think Tony put in "Don't be a jerk" in the subject line. And underneath it, there is a place for you to put, and she did do this, the first rule of personal branding. And that shows up. But of all the times to have this happen, there was a glitch. Or honestly, I think that Robley thought it was spam.
Mm-hmm.
And so they blanked out the whole email. So people were getting the "don't be a jerk" part
Only.
but they weren't seeing the second part. And when they opened it, it was completely empty.
Completely empty.
And we got something around 29 calls and emails from people on that email list. Immediately. Some of them came through seconds later, and some of them over the next 2 days, it was 29. But I had full conversations with these people. And 29. When was the last time you talked to 29 of your clients over a 2-day period? So it sucked that that's what it was, and that I had to explain what happened, and that it was this glitch, and that we probably shouldn't have said "don't be a jerk" in the subject line. But still, sometimes a mistake isn't the worst thing that can happen.
I think that we've gotten a good story out of it, and we've had contact with clients and everything. And thank goodness it was our email. We're like, that's cool, that's fine. Nobody unsubscribed. Nobody was offended. If anything, they caught themselves and were like, "Oh, did I say something? How did I offend Anne?" But mistakes.
Actually, so many people. I'm like, what do you think you could have possibly done to offend me?
I think people are like reevaluating their own behavior as a result. But this isn't the first time. There have been a couple of, that's the first time that we've had something at this level. We have had a couple of, I think, 2 clients. There was a mistake in an email, and we had to send out an oops email. The open rates on the oops emails are high.
Right.
People want to know what you did wrong or what you said wrong, and
exactly.
So they're always higher. It's not something that you want to, and it's the same thing. There's big companies send out oops emails. Oh, we sent out the wrong date, the wrong sale, the wrong link, or whatever it is. So there are these things that are happening. So you just need to look at that and see what don't do it often.
And don't panic.
Just don't panic. Send out an oops and put
Right,
oops
exactly.
in the subject line, and people are going to open it.
Absolutely. But don't worry. Don't make yourself so panicked about it that you stop doing it. But also, don't just send them out without being edited. It's not good. It's not good form. And you just never know what that mistake's going to be, right? You just never know. You want to make sure that it does not look good on you if you send out a mistake. It just doesn't. So, all right. I want to remind you, actually, before we go on to tell you what we have, I do want to remind you that we do email marketing. We've said it a couple of times. We've even given you the price, which we very seldom do because it's so iffy for people. But generally, there have been people who have had to pay a little bit more because they needed something specific. Generally, it's that $300 a month, and it's a 12-month contract. And the reason is that honestly, it works better if there's consistency, right? If you're doing something consistently. So a year is a good amount of time to put that out there. So it is very, very helpful. If you are interested in doing that, please message us, let us know. We are here to help. We would love to help you. And I will tell you, it is the single best marketing thing you can do for your business. It will come back. There is really good ROI on email marketing. It's very, very helpful. Remind you that we have the blog. Do you want to talk about the blog, Anastasia? Because I think, let me say this to everybody. Anastasia pushed, because I am a writer and I wasn't writing the blog. And Anastasia said, just hire somebody to go ahead and write it for you already. So talk about the blog and why you think it's so important.
Yeah, blogs are important. They give us, they give us legitimacy. They give us content. They give us, they make us the experts. Now, I do say somebody else writes them, but the ideas are all Anne's. Anne says,
Yes.
what I want you to write about, and edits every single one of them to make sure that the messaging in it is exactly what she wants it to be. So it's just the meat of it that's written by somebody else. But he totally understands our business and he does an incredible job. Which is why, we keep him around.
Exactly. And why he's on our website. Actually, if you check our website, the front picture is me talking to Dylan.
Yeah, so it's something that's important. We do release it every month. We put up posts about it. It's really to educate you on how for you to do it. We're giving you the ingredients to make the soup.
Absolutely. So yeah, go check out the blog. We do have the content calendar. If you want to learn more information about that, let us know. We can help you out. I think we should do a class about that, Anastasia.
Mm-hmm.
We should do a class where we bring people in on that. So if you're interested in that, we're putting this filler out there right now. So let us know. Let us know what you think. And we will see you next week